settled in for the day and sat down at my desk at work. And the phone rang. And it was my baby brother who called and said that Grandma has fallen ill. They don't expect her to make it. So I went right into my boss. And I said, Tanya, I have to leave. My grandma's fallen ill. They don't expect for her to make it. And she said, I'm sorry, Christy, but we've got a state audit going on. You can't leave. And I said, I have to. This is the woman that helped raise me. I need to go and say goodbye. And she said, if you leave, you're fired. I wanted to say goodbye to my grandmother, but I wasn't able to. So that evening, I went home, and my brother had downloaded Skype, and I got to say goodbye to my grandmother before she passed. Her last words to me were, you have an amazing family. I have 3 babies at home. And she said, always put your family first. And I've just not done that. I put my job first. So I said goodbye to my grandma. She passed away later that night. And thank goodness they had the funeral on the weekend so I could go there, because she was in Missouri and I was in Texas. So I went there and I stayed at the funeral through the entire thing, all the way to the end. I felt like in the graveyard I was standing there with Grandma, and it was just her and I. And she was in that box. And as they lowered her into the ground, I felt this thing inside of me. I didn't want to live a box life. I wanted something more. I wanted to create. I wanted to travel. I wanted to be more. I wanted to help people. I felt like that was what Grandma was saying. Grandma had lived an amazing life. She had 7 children, 21 grandchildren, and family was her life. But she was scared to live her life. She never drove. She didn't really work outside of the home. She was a farmer's wife. And she stayed within about 7 miles of where she lived. She had an amazing life, but she didn't live the life that she was meant to live. So I went home after the funeral, and I started thinking about my life. I started thinking I was living a box life. So I thought, I'm going to look at my whole day. I'm going to see what my day looks like. I'd wake up in the morning, and I'd make the 3 kiddos. They're up there. They're so gorgeous. Box cereal for breakfast. And then I'd drive in my box car to work, where I would work on a box all day long until lunch, and then I'd go get a box lunch and come back to work. And then I'd work on the box a little bit more, drive that box car back home, and then I'd make a box dinner, because we were living paycheck to paycheck back then, so it was macaroni and cheese and hot dogs. So I'd make that box dinner, and then I would watch the box for about 3 or 4 hours in the evening. And then I'd go to sleep in that box, and I'd wake up and I'd repeat and do the same thing over and over again. And I thought, I don't want to live that box life. I want something more. So we created a business, and it's called Sometimes Spouse. It's a handyman and a household cleaning business. It got us out of the box. Life's been totally different since we started this business. Our culture at Sometimes Spouse is family first. We help our customers put their family first by taking care of those honeydews, handyman and household services, so that they can make memories with their family and put their family first. We do it for our employees, so our employees work 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. They're not working crazy hour like construction people do. We also do that through our franchising, so that people can come along with Sometimes Spouse and get out of that box life and put their family first and make decisions where they can go and see Grandma and not have to ask anybody permission to go to a funeral or go to the doctor or take their family on vacation. Our mission is to help 1,204,732 people be able to put their family first through Sometimes Spouse. And our target market really is working families. Now, the 3 things I want to tell you about Sometimes Spouse is, number 1, Sometimes Spouse is a grassroots kind of organization. We've never taken money from a venture capitalist, big bank loans, or taken on partners. So we built a business kind of backwards with Sometimes Spouse. It doesn't take decades worth of time to have an amazing business, and it doesn't take thousands of dollars to get it off of the ground. Number 2, how a newbie, I was a social worker with no business experience whatsoever, built an amazing business empire with Sometimes Spouse. And I did it by using my laptop and iPhone. And thank God there were Macs, because I wouldn't have made it. Sometimes Spouses had amazing growth. We started in Waco, Texas in 2013. We built it really rapidly. People started paying attention to what we were doing at Sometimes Spouse. And we started to get much bigger. We started duplicating ourselves all throughout the state. We've got locations all over. And we've helped hundreds of people get started in the Sometimes Spouse business and be able to put family first. Now, the legacy that I've kind of created is that family first legacy that came from Grandma. Even though she hadn't created a massive legacy that's going to live past a generation or two, the people that knew her, we have with Sometimes Spouse. So now I have the choice to put my family first. I don't have to ask anyone to take my family on vacation. I don't have to ask anyone to go stand up paddleboarding in the middle of the day. I don't have to ask anyone to go to San Antonio for 2 days with the love of my life, my husband back there. So that's what I've done with Sometimes Spouse, and I'm really looking to help other people get out of that box life and quit asking permission to live their lives. Now, these are my 3 children, Natalie, Bruce, and Abby. Natalie just graduated from high school from China Spring ISD, and we got to take a week-long vacation after that, and I didn't have to ask anyone. So the legacy of putting my family first is amazing. But to help other people do the same exact thing all across the state of Texas is priceless. So really what I'm looking for is I'm looking for partners that want to get started with Sometimes Spouse, to put their family first, help other people put their family first. I'm really looking for just one person in the San Antonio area to light a fire and build their own Sometimes Spouse empire. Now, is there any questions?